Hello there, guys. Welcome to another episode of Second Life Electronics. Today, we're not going to be at the workbench because we've had a bit of a disaster strike. My water pump in my custom loop, the water cooling on my PC, has given up the ghost completely, just very suddenly. Unfortunately, it was mid recording something else, so instead we're going to be recording this. So let's jump to the coffee table, which is actually bigger than the workbench for some weird reason. And let's get a new cooler fitted. Let's go there now. Okay then, guys, so we're now at this time on the coffee table. As I said in the intro, this is going to be a slightly different format to usual because this is actually doing a repair on the machine that we normally record the intro and do all the rest of the work on. This isn't the editing machine, luckily. That's my wife's machine. This is my own personal machine that I use for sort of gaming and research. And the water pump has died on it. So we're going to be fitting an all-in-one cooler now instead. I did a custom loop originally because I had an old Titan X graphics card that I was water cooling as well. Now that I've got the Intel graphics card, as far as I know, at the moment, no one's actually done a water cool block for it. So there's no point obviously trying to water cool it. So as I'm only actually recording my CPU, I figured I may as well just go to an all-in-one cooler. The same respect, we are actually going to have to do more than we'd normally do to do this sort of repair, due to the simple fact that I already had a broken screw that's stuck in the base plate, the back plate. So we're going to be removing the motherboard, fitting a new back plate that doesn't have broken screws in the holes, and then we'll have a fully working machine again. So I've removed the original water cooler that I was using. And now we're going to start to remove what we can. In fact, what we might do is unplug the ARGB water block, which is in. Do that. Just remove that, just makes it a little bit easier. Then we should be able to then take the radiator out in one go from the screws that I've got in the back here. Let's see if I've got a better screwdriver to use. So what I've got around the back here is I've got 6 screws just holding the whole radiator and the fans all into the case. I'll quickly remove those. So that should now be literally ready to come out in one foul swoop. And I've got all of these connectors, etc. Because I was using RGB fans. They're all ARGB. So I've actually got a RGB controller. So we'll have to replumb all of that through. But obviously we won't have to have quite so many fan connections in this new with the new build. That's my back fan. Get that all out now. CPU fan connector up there. Connector in there. So that now removes the whole custom loop system in one go. That makes that nice and easy. And this is the kit that we're going to be installing. It's a 360mm addressable RGB water cooling system. But, as I say, before we can continue with that, we are going to have to take the motherboard out in order to get that back plate out. So I'm going to remove any of my cards, obviously including the graphics card. That. Throw this graphics card out. That's that. So that's the graphics card that I use. It's an Intel B580, a 12 gig graphics card, which I found to be incredibly useful. I think it's actually a pretty damn good card. There's also bits of evidence that I've actually had a water leak in the water cooling system previously. But hopefully now that we're going over to this all-in-one system, we shouldn't get any more leaks, which would be nice. Let's remove that CPU power connector. I'm hoping I can just sort of swivel this round. Let's do the back plate without having to remove absolutely everything out the board, but we shall see if it's going to be kind to us or not. Okay. Remove any other screws that we can see holding them anyway. Definitely feels like, oh yes, one more hiding up there. There's still something holding us in there. Right, so let's have another look around. I don't see any more screws. The 3 are removed at the bottom, 3 removed in the middle. There's definitely still something holding that in there. It can't be that, surely. There's no screws behind that, is there? No. I don't actually see any more screws. Oh, there you go. Okay. Just to make it a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so now I'm going to be rather careful here. We've got to try and obviously remove this back plate which is stuck down. Obviously we don't want to scratch the board at all. It looks like that's actually bolted in. I think it actually is. Okay. Well, that is not great news. Because this doesn't actually have any extra bolts that are holding it. Okay. That is not what we wanted to see. Okay, I'm going to pause it there for a minute and do a bit more research. Okay, so after doing a bit more research, unfortunately it appears that the seller on Amazon has actually lied. These are AM4 plates, not AM5. So the only real thing that we can do, unfortunately, is try and take this original plate off. Actually, I think I'm going to avoid any damage. I'm going to remove the CPU. I think we're going to have to try and carefully remove that back plate. And then attempt to get that screw out. which is not ideal. I think for safety's sake, I think we're going to have to unplug cables so we can lay this all the way down. Because we definitely do not want to damage that port in any way. If that socket gets damaged, it's game over. And it'd be a very expensive game over at that. Yeah, so now we've got to work out how to get that bit of screw out of there. As you can see, so the original actually has screw holes for mounting the retention clip on. So the new one doesn't have those. So without those holes, we really have no way of mounting it in, mounting the CPU in properly. We risk further damage to the CPU, which obviously we do not want. So we need to try and get that screw out of there. Unfortunately, it's so flush. I don't think we're really going to be able to sort of try and encourage it. That's ideal. What we need to do is encourage it to come back out the other way, but how can I get that to come out? I've got a small drill bit. I don't know how well this is going to work, but it's worth a shot. This is actually a hand PCB drill. I'm just hoping that I can get a drill bit in there and hopefully sort of manually drill it out. Never going to get to that manually. Let's see if I can grab my drill. Okay, so unfortunately we've not managed to drill that one out fully. So what I'm going to attempt to do instead is make sure that just as an interim stopgap for now, so that the computer can still be used whilst I wait a new backplate again. I was going to put that broken screw at the bottom. I'm hoping that will then support it enough that the machine will be running a lot cooler for now. And then we will have to order yet another different backplate. Hopefully this time make sure that it's a proper AM5 one with the right mounting holes. So we have got new thermal grease, so I'm going to clean off the old thermal compound. Just remove that old thermal compound off of the CPU. And then get that CPU refitted, observing the correct orientation. So yes, I'm hoping that this is going to be secure enough. This should be where it's supposed to go. Yeah, so they point inwards like that. Obviously that side is going to be able to lift up a bit, but I'm hoping that it will kept square by the rest of the assembly. So this is definitely only a temporary stopgap until such time as I can get hold of a new AM5, a proper AM5 backplate. This is definitely not the recommended way of obviously doing things. Ideally, you do want to be able to use all 4 screws properly. And unfortunately, that's not going to be possible on this occasion. Good paste that. In fact, I think I'm going to use my own paste because that is really crap paste. Not great at all, that. Grab a dollop of some proper paste. That's already spreading a lot better. So now let's get this motherboard screwed back in. The side back in. USBs. Put the SSD back in as well. It turns out that wasn't actually holding it board in at all. I think it was literally just the back plate holding in really well into the back of the case. Okay. 3 more screws to put in for the motherboard. Okay, now, luckily in this case, I can actually remove panel that the logo goes into, which is incredibly handy because it means that we can actually do this exactly how we want it to be and then bang it straight in. Let's have a look at the main. So unfortunately, they haven't daisy chained because it would have been nice if they were daisy chained.
Psst. The rest of Tinkerers Anonymous have told me that you haven't subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Like, comment, and subscribe now.
Just so there have been less cables to contend with. There's exceptional amounts of cables on this, but never mind. Tear up before installation. Now, just give an indication as to which way up they want that to go. Not really, no. Looks like potentially that's supposed to go towards the top, maybe? Maybe they want it to go that way. Originally, you'll probably find it as designed so that it would have gone above, but I can't mount above. I have to mount to the sides like that. I think that's so this connects by USB, so hopefully I've got a spare USB connection. Oh yes, I do. But that's that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So this has got a USB connection, a fan, and then ARGB link as well. So the radiator's already set up there. That's all gonna sit on there. So I do a little sit on all four of those. I'm assuming there's going to be some thumb screws or something. Let's see what else is in the kit. So it does actually come with an Intel adjustable lid bracket, but unfortunately did not come with Intel screws. It did not come with AMD, which I was kind of hoping for. Case and fan screws. That's okay. That's it. Put Intel. And these were little thumb screws. Across there. I'm hoping because I switched it over to the broken or missing screw, should I say, where the broken screw is at the bottom. it shouldn't affect performance fitting of this too badly. Hopefully the weight will sort of help keep it onto the board, rather than obviously when it was at the top, it was able to pull away from the CPU. There should be no reason that this will be able to pull away. Okay. So now we need to get the radiator bolted in. Oh, if I brought the panel over. Originally I was hoping to do it outside of the case. I think it might actually, this might actually be easier if I put this between. And try and bolt this up to it. It's a little bit unwieldy. There we go. Screw down the bottom left. What's that? Pack of Allen case screws. These are designed to go into this. they do give you plenty of screws. Which to ensure this is fastened up properly. And then all we've got to do is have all the fun of wiring everything up. Okay. So annoyingly, because they've done all the fans individually, well, they have joined them there. Well, I have kind of daisy chained them actually, by the looks of it. Not in a particularly neat way, but daisy chain nonetheless. It does look like all the fans have been connected up to each other. Just got to take all these twist ties off and we can start seeing exactly what is what. So yeah, so they haven't connected up the ARGBs to each other, but I do have a Razer ARPG controller around the back, which I shall show you in a minute. Once we get around to that stage, just going to focus on the most important part first, which is making sure that we've got the cooling. So it does look like the cooling, the physical fans have been all connected up together. I'm saying they're not done it brilliantly well, but they have done it. What have we got going on here? So yeah, so they've literally daisy showing them all to the one fan connector. And then had our USB 2 header. And then we've also got another ARGB there, so let's run that through to the back of the case. And then we have our water pump. So that's going to go into there. That's one of our existing case fans. Again is ARGB. Put that out of the way there. Plug that case fan in down there. We've got a graphics card to get back in yet. Okay, so we've got another ARGB there. And another one there. Hang on. These ones might be best to go down the bottom. Okay. So that's all of those in. We've got our CPU cooler in. Let's get our monster of a graphics card. Carriage back in. This is a tight gap in this particular case between the motherboard and the graphics slots for some reason. There we go. Yeah. I also pulled out a wireless card. We're not actually using the wireless card, so I don't think I'm going to bother putting that back into this machine. We don't really need it. What we do need is power to the GPU. Let's spin the beast round. I'm going to show you the ARGB controller. So yeah, so this is the ARGB controller we have in here, this particular build. So usually how it's sat in here where one of the SSDs would normally go. And then we just take our feeds of this. What I have got to make sure is that I've got this powered so that it actually powers usually by this, but I don't actually have one of those connectors on my board. That's what I was actually using before. I think I might be able to just using it again. Just quite carefully cut that off there. This actually enables us to back power this off of one of the fan ports. there. Make sure we plumb that in before we finish. So these ARGBs, you can actually daisy chain them together, which is incredibly handy. So we can just make sure that we have one plumbed in. There's channel 1. Okay, cool. So channel 1 is this bottom one down here. I don't think it's actually going to be able to go in there very well now. Mount it that way instead. Yeah, there we go. Then you can come through the side here and into number 1. Into channel 2. Another one there. Close that up. And then we can actually start linking these to daisy chain back the other way. To connect the other ones up. In theory, that should be it. So we can now get back on. And all we have to worry about now is making sure that this one is plugged into a fan header somewhere. In particular, when you use CPU fan 1, if I can help it. Doesn't look like we've got any other one on there though. Actually, I wonder. Give that a go. Okay, so let's get this back into the lab and see if it's all running properly. So we're now back in the workshop, and as you can probably see by the flashing lights in front of me, we have now got the new recorder in running. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it very well. We are running at 43 degrees on the CPU. So not exactly how I wanted to repair it. I would have liked to be able to use the new backplates that were stated to be AM5, but they were clearly not actually AM5. Bad scammers in as usual. But hopefully we can get those sent back
get an actual AM5 backplate, because I think those screws somehow seem to have been hardened. Didn't want to drill through very easily at all, but snapped very easily. So let's get a new AM5, proper AM5 backplate in, and we'll get that installed as and when we can. But for now, the machine is running lovely and cool, and it's not going to keep turning off for me and reaching 107 degrees like it was before. So that's definitely a result. So next week, we'll get back to the normal electrical repairs on the workbench. Until then, bye for now.